All right, so last time we had our Lego guy in, and he is idling and running. Great. So if we go to our character blueprint here, like our character blueprint, this is the viewport that you're used to, and in our event graph, this is the movement input. This is because we use the default template, the side-scrolling default template. This is the setup that we already have. In fact, let me just sort of pause for just a moment to show you in the project settings to make sure that we are aware of how this got set up. In the action mappings, they have a jump, which is either the W or the up or the space bar. Um, I mean, great. I'm going to get rid of the gamepad. In fact, I'm going to get rid of the other two. So only spacebar. And then we have the axis mappings for the A and the D. Let's get rid of all these guys too. And we'll get rid of move forward. Well, I don't even think we're even doing any of this move forward stuff. So it's just move right and left, which is because you can see it's -1 or 1, A and D, and then a spacebar. And so this has been set up into an input axis move right, and then an add movement input with a direction -1 and Y. So very sort of bare bones, but it works. We also have a jump, an input action jump. So I'm gonna get rid of the touch because we're not on sort of whatever. And so when the input action jump happens, we do a jump and then we stop jumping. So this is just a function that is already built into the character blueprint, right? Because most of the characters or all of the characters should at least have the capability of jumping. So Unreal is like, yep, we'll just make it standard. So that's already in there, and I'll compile. So one thing, the question I always get from people is in the Lego character, there is the jump max hold time and the jump count. This is how you do double jumps. So I could do 2 here and then say maybe like 0.01 and compile. And when I press play, you see I can do a double jump. I'm not really feeling the double jump on my Lego guy, so I'm not going to do that. But those of you who are like, I really want to do a double jump because it's part of the gameplay that I'm working on, that's how you do it. So it used to be, as of like a version and a half ago, you had to program all that. So Unreal is really big on the jumping. So I'm also going to use the opportunity of jumping to try to show you another data structure that we're going to prototype really fast. We're going to get really deeper on this in like week 4, but we've already talked about a state machine slightly. We've talked about a blend space slightly, but I'm also going to show you an animation montage because this is a really great way for you to be able to implement animations. So let's take a look at our Lego jump, the Lego guy jump. So this is it. So if you look at this, it's all kinds of wonkiness in this. When we're going to clean this up next week, maybe. He just looks so swooshy here. That's not really great, but for the sake of, it's great for prototyping, right? And that's what we're doing this week. It's all prototype, all throwaway. So you'll see that there's 3 parts to it. There's the part where he takes off, the part where he gets to the top, and then the part where he lands, okay? So that makes, that it's great if we just want to hit it once, but what if he is in the air for a unknown period of time? He goes off the edge and he's got to be stuck. We can set almost like a state machine within this that there's these different parts can be done. So I'm going to convert this into an animation montage, which is going to allow me to do that. So if I go back to this, I click on this guy and I say create animation montage. So I've got the Lego guy jump and I'm highlighted and I say create anim montage. It creates an anim montage. I'm going to say Lego guy jump MOT for montage, and you'll see it's blue. Open that. So this is similar to the other one. This just gives you a lot more options. You'll see that we have. Let me stop this. We have a way to be able to categorize different parts of the animation. Here's the animation here in its frames. We'll have notifiers and things like that. So when it comes later, if you want to add sound effects or different, if there's different particles or something like that, you can use some things in here. Montages are great for all of those things, but for today, you'll see that it just goes into the default. If I set preview and press play, it's just hitting the default. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to quantify this into I'm taking off, and then I'm in my jump, and then I'm landing. Okay, so those are 1, 2, 3. So to start with, let me find the height of my jump. So I'll say it's right there, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to say new montage section, and I'm going to say jumping, the active of I am in the air jumping. And I'm only going to make this like just a wee little bit. In fact, I can zoom super in on this. Zoom. Okay. And then on this, I'm going to say jump land. Okay. So the jumping part is barely, in fact, he's barely moving. And because this is going to loop, so there's going to be a little weird strobiness into it. But again, this is the prototype phase. The idea is to just sort of scratch this dude out. Okay, so I'm going to actually kill the default. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. And jumping, did I Z'd too much. So let me redo the jumping land, new montage section, jump land. Okay, and then I'm going to move actually, because I have to get rid of this default, I'm going to say new, I'm going to say jump start. And I'm going to get rid of that. So now jump start is at the beginning, jump is just this wee little bit at the top, and then jump land is the bottom. So you can see the preview now has jump start, jumping, jump land, and then jump start. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to preview, I want to jump start, and then I want to go right into jumping. Okay, and then when I go into jumping, I want to go back into jumping. So now I have two sets of commands. I have jump start and jumping, and then the second one I have is let's see, jump land, jump start. On this one, let's see, what is this? Start jumping, and then jump land, or jumping, yeah, and then jump land. Okay, so if I preview, so if I press play, he jumps up and he has like a fit, right? But he's stuck in this jumping phase, because the idea is when I push jumping, I'm going to want to go through the takeoff, and then I'm going to stay in the jump. But I'm only going to want to do jump land when that happens, okay? And then once he lands, he stops, and then that's it. Okay, so I don't need to pick another section. That's it, jump land. So in effect, this is a very baby animation montage. But you can see that already I've divided this up into 2 animation clips just by setting the jump start, jumping, and jump land. I would recommend writing these things down when you give names to them, or find good naming conventions, just the same way as I'm encouraging you to get really good at your naming conventions, because you're going to have to go back and remember this later on. So let's go to my character blueprint. I'm going to go to event graph, and this input action jump here is great. So this actually affects the character blueprint, right? This is the function that makes just the capsule part, not the animation. Okay, remember there's a difference between the character blueprint and the animation blueprint. So on this jump, I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to say animation montage, play montage. There it is. And let me zoom in a bit. Let's see what it says. It says montage the play. Well, we've got the one right here, so let's just choose that guy. And I'm going to say the starting section is jump start. Okay, so now when the jump goes and pressed, I jump. It goes this. Now, released is not really a great way for us to do this, because if we release, we can release at any particular point. And so I'm going to break this. Let me break pin link. And the stop jumping I'm going to put over here. And I'm actually going to find a different function, which is on land, event on landed. So this is, you can see, another red event, which means that when the character actually lands on the ground, I want to stop jumping. And then I'm also going to copy this montage. But at this point, I'm going to say jump land. And I make sure I have that one. So in the jump now, I have the input action. I'm going to jump because that's what my character blueprint is supposed to do. And I'm going to play a montage that I set up that will start with the jump start. But then because it's automatically set to run into the jump loop or the jumping, it will just stay in that for as long as possible. And then when he lands, it's going to stop jumping and it's going to hit this. So I think I did this correctly. I hope so. So let's take a look. So here's our run back and forth, and it's not working. Why is that? Quite honestly, I do not know. So this is the exciting part of development with Unreal. We have to figure out why this montage is not triggering. So compile, save, and I'm going to try one more time. Okay, so now I'm going to hack a little bit and see what the problem is. I'll be right back. All right, so I had made two mistakes. That's what happens when a summer goes by. You forget everything that you did in Unreal the year before. So we don't have this jump working. So the first thing that I did incorrectly was that I used the wrong function. So if you look up play, or if I type in montage, I think I used the play montage, but I think I'm supposed to say play anim montage right here. So it's this blue guy right here. You'll see it's much more simple than the one that I just previously had. So it's going to ask for the Lego montage. It's the one that I just used, and then I have to say the name of it, which is jump start. Okay, and I will copy and I will paste, and then on this I'm going to say jump land. Okay, so that's the first error that I did. Okay, so that's correct. So the second problem is there's no way in the animation blueprint that so it needs to be triggered in the animation blueprint. Okay, so if you recall, we built an animation blueprint, animation montage, and then I triggered it in the character blueprint. But the animation blueprint has no idea how to trigger this. So the way to do that is to use a slot. So you'll see that it gives what's called a slot right here. This is a slot. So when you create these parameters here, and this is the slot manager, this is the slot, the default slot. So you can make slots with different kinds of animated things in it, right? Or attacks or whatever. And so you need to tell the animation blueprint, hey, I want to use that slot. So to do that, I'm going to right click and I'm going to break this, and then I'm going to say slot. It's going to say slot. You see it chose the default slot because that's the only one we have. And I'm going to pull it in there. I'm going to compile. Okay, and if I've done everything right and make sure that everything has been compiled, I'll go back to this, and you'll see he now jumps. And I've got that freezing thing that's happening. And he's going up too high and it's a little funky, but this is the prototyping phase, right? We're just trying to get the whole thing together into the engine. Okay, so a couple of things that I might want to start thinking about doing in here. So if I go to my viewport and I go to the capsule, I was looking for the speed stuff here. I'm going to have to really dig deep before going into class on all this stuff. But how far that guy jumps up and down. So jump max count. How far he jumps up and character movement. Oh gosh, there it is. This is what I was looking for before. Remember what I was looking for before? I was looking for the variable for max walk speed. Yikes. Okay, so the jump z velocity is how much he goes up. This is the air control. I think there's also a gravity amount in here. Not really sure. But this is where I would start messing with this. So let's say this is 650 just for the sake of whatever's. And I'll compile that and I'll press play. You see how he jumps much less? I kind of like that a little bit better. You can absolutely try to mess with as many of these variables as you'd like to. Again, we are in the prototyping phase. Now, this is great. This is the world's worst platformer though right now. All I'm doing is running back and forth. So it's about this time that you might start considering, you know what, maybe I should start thinking about what this guy is actually going to be doing. So just for the sake of prototyping, I'm going to go up, oops, press Alt, and take that up, and I'm going to squish this, and squish this. And let's see. Just for the sake of testing. Okay, you know what, maybe I want to take 2 of these. That's probably too much now. Yeah, see, he can't get up that guy. So let me just bring it down for there. Again, I'm prototyping, not building. So, okay, that kind of is interesting. So I'm gonna, all right, that's about what I want from this, and I will the same sort of guesswork. Now I can refine these variables as I'm, and in fact we're going to do that as we start finalizing everything. But then I'm also going to start doing stuff like this. All right. And sure, why not? These are just guesses. Just guesses. Okay, so press play. Oh no. But already I'm getting a little bit more enjoyment out of this guy. Okay. Doot, doot. There's a weird little hiccups thing and that stutter. But I'm playing a character and I'm moving my animations around, and this is good starts. Okay. So, quick recap. We did a montage. Set up the montage into montage section, jump start, jumping, jump land. We set the character BP where we set up the jumps with the player montage. Really basic stuff for the input here. And then we have a very simple slot in the movement. All we have is a blend space. So now we've kind of architected the basics for our character, and now it's time for us to start figuring out what we need in terms of gameplay and to flesh it out a little bit, and what are the things that we're going to need to do to start refining our character and our movement.